Right, here we are for the Mercury Perihelion session for June 6th, 2018, and the 22nd day, the 3rd degree moon month. We are just getting started. The 2nd day, 3rd degree moon month.
Hello, Jeff.
Oh, hello there.
Hello. Hi, Jeff. Hello.
Hello, there you guys are.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
We
waiting.
came in late.
Yes, indeed.
For me, I was having a problem with my machine. Sorry for being late. I tried to log in, still starting. The machine is still a problem now. I see now it's on.
It's all good.
Can I have a dog? Let me send it. And it is also on the Mercury group. I said, oh, thank you, Jay. You did that also.
So, shall we just kind of do like a buddy team, I guess, but we could still all do the positions together. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to start checking in?
Yeah, sure.
Lucy, you want to start?
Yeah. Guys, sorry for being late. I'm having my machine really has a problem. Just keep on restarting most of the time. I'm at 6. Can I see what I have done 2 weeks last week or what?
Yeah, you can just update on what you've been working on. It's fine.
Last week I worked on MBT's rank budget, invoice tabulation, plasma, planetarization, payroll. It is okay, it's me. I'm like 6 also. I'm 6. I was also late because of connection. My internet's too slow. And I've been working on tabulation, budget, planetary session support, and midweek check-in verification.
Cool. So first of all, I do want to note that planetary session support isn't client work. You know that, for example, we would do Mercury session support, like that would be a client budget, or Earth session support, right? So it needs to be a specific session that you're working on. And then, obviously for today's session, we have a lot of issues, like since it's just the 3 of us, like we didn't do too much. So we want to improve on that. I'm pretty tired. It's the middle of the night here. It's like 3 a.m. And I should just, maybe I should just write my own notes here. But yeah, I'm pretty tired, and but I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad you guys made it. And I've been working on just endless work. I did do my work report. I think there's a bunch of deliverables, as well as work on a lot of other things that we could pull up. But it includes everything from the payroll to the Z Collaborator to the grants, the offerings, and the agreement with the mission within and everything else too. So yeah. So in terms of attendance, who else was supposed to be here? We definitely need to step up on our session planning, especially for global sessions, and make sure we have a spreadsheet and a document that goes over who's scheduled to come to each session.
Which number are you, Jack?
Oh, maybe like a 4.5.
Okay.
Primarily because it's the middle of the night. I'm really tired. I didn't get too much sleep last night. Ugh. So anyways, on the attendance that, especially for planetary sessions, we need a spreadsheet for global session attendance. Who is scheduled, who is supposed to show up, etc., etc. Right?
Yeah.
So can you guys think of anyone else who is supposed to be here?
Joseph, Abdul.
Abdul.
Zelo.
So one thing we can do is we could just removing people who aren't showing up.
I tried all of them.
So it's just good to keep our list updated with the current people who are involved. Oops. So maybe when people schedule, they get added to the Mercury session list. That sound right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this should be for quarter moon, full moon, new moon, etc. All right. So any other questions on attendance? All right, let's move on. So next we have our evaluations and prioritization. So this would not be the right prioritization spreadsheet because this is not a global core team meeting. We need the management.
It's management
team prioritization spreadsheet. And also we should be linking the management evaluation doc or report. But I was gonna write mine right here. Since we don't have anyone else. So if you guys want to just write your report, that'd be fine.
I think the one for management. Lucy, did you get the one I linked for global management? Are you waiting for that?
No, I can write my report.
Mhm.
Are we on private topic or on both again?
We are still on. We are still on the report list.
So you guys doing your reports at all, or?
Yes.
So one of the new tasks that we're gonna do is we have a couple tasks. One, we're gonna update the meeting notes, template meeting notes. I'm gonna do this. couple new systems, but the other one is that we want to create what we call backlog backlog spreadsheet for all teams. And then we're going to split up the prioritization spreadsheets into the top priorities and all of the backlog. So the backlog is basically like the list of everything that we don't get to all the time, so we don't need it in our prioritization spreadsheet, so we can simplify our prioritization spreadsheet a little bit. It should help. So maybe we only need like the top like 20 or 30, because it's like we're only going to get to 1 or 2 anyways, as opposed to 60, Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah.
So I guess we should go ahead and move on, right?
Yeah.
Or are you guys still doing your reporting and prioritization?
Yes.
Almost done. Bruce, where are you writing your reports? On the doc, I don't see you.
It is applied.
Oh, you are there. Okay, good.
Can we continue?
Yeah, let's go ahead and continue.
Are we on our results?
We are on the internal setup, Lucy. What?
What'd you say, Albina?
Are we not in internal team setup?
Did you guys do your report? Okay, wait. Did you guys do your reports? Okay, cool. Nice. And the other issue that I noticed here is that according to the invoice tabulation, we only have like $500 of client income from last month, which is just really small. So hopefully that will go up, because that's certainly not enough to get us through.
We did not use that, right? I think we used the other tabulation for 151.
We did not even consider 151.
Yeah, we did not consider 180 degrees.
Not really even 151.
Not 180. I mean, sorry, 18 degree.
What do you mean?
Last time we asked you if we can work on that. You said no, there is no need because there are some other mix-up. So we need to focus on something that can help us again. And then we focus on 151 degree for next budget, June, July.
So so what budget is the 18 degree for? Question budget.
It is for
June or this month.
June, July, yeah, 18.
Third degree budget. So where's the 151?
151 is for June, July. 18 is for this one, the one we are is 3 degree.
Okay, so we need the 151 invoice tabulation, right?
Yes,
we already have.
We have that, and Albina, you can link that.
Okay.
Give me 1 minute, I'll be back.
151 tabulation.
I'm back.
151. Let me just link that. Where am I linking? Okay.
Can I get that one, Albina, or you are there already?
I got it. I'm just putting that. Just
You can even send it also on Skype. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Why are you using this system?
which one?
Mercury.
Oh God! I just saw Jay put a message there. So
Yes, a follow.
my laptop is also hanging. Oh God!
Got it there. Now there.
See, can you link that?
Okay.
And 15 already there.
Maybe I'm opening this open as well.
Relation. Let me just link.
Your machine is okay now?
No, it is too slow, but I'm trying. I linked.
It still says $500 of income.
Yes, this is down there. The new one.
We are 2 point in tabulation.
We're
Wait,
still
wait.
missing. We don't have invoice for those of other savings. All what? New one. Yes, and CJ is putting like.
So it looks like we have 1,000 for each of these. Is this correct?
Yeah, you add 500, right?
Yeah, I think it's 500 total. So that's 1,000 total. So that's a little better, but it's still pretty sad. So the bottom line here is that we also need to, like, if we have 30 hours on plasma, the question would be, what are the deliverables that we have for the plasma work? So we're going to want to show that as well. I'm not sure if I saw anything since the Saturn session. That was really good. All right, but this would be our budget for the next month. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So basically, if we're only able to bring in $1,000 and do $1,000 of work, then that's our entire budget for the next month's payroll. So we need to figure out how to balance our work with our, like, we basically would have to keep cutting people until we figure out how to get the client work done. We have a balanced set of the actual client work with the workers on the payroll. And then once we hit that point, then we should be able to continue to grow and evolve.
There is a problem like on client.
On what?
Taxes, like taxes and more taxes. Where can someone get step 1 and step 2?
We're downloading.
Yeah.
Well, we need to go over the taxes, and make sure that everybody knows what they're doing, and that we have a plan. We have to have a plan for everything. So I don't think we've gone over the taxes for a while.
Also, like J support. You know, I prioritize that, and I not always get to you. So I think it is also a challenge to workers. All these things, they need you first. Like J support, they need to get in touch with you.
Well,
and also most of the time
Jay,
you are very busy.
The whole
Taxes,
point.
We need that.
The whole point of J support is to work directly with me. That's the whole point of J support. So, you know, for example, every moment I spend on payroll is exactly the opposite of J support. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. So, because every time I work on payroll, it's me paying everybody else and working on worker support to support you and everybody to get paid. So, which is the majority of the time. So the question would be, how do we actually get the payroll completed and done so that we can focus on the other priorities, right? We need to get everything completed and moving forward as efficiently and organized as possible so that we can actually get all their other work done, including J support and all the other session work. But either way, there's a couple problems here. I guess you guys made them green, but it's just like, why wouldn't we just delete? Why would we just delete anything that's not in the budget? You know what I mean? And also, what is all this stuff up here? Like, what is all this? Can we just delete all this? Like, why is that even here? Do we need any of this up here?
I don't think so.
So here, let me just duplicate this. Again, like the key is simplification. Like when everything's
we still need those things, Albina, that are up there.
Well, anyways, I'm just gonna do
Which one? I think.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
So
these other things are unnecessary.
My point is simply to like simplify everything, you know, to make sure it's all really, really simple so that it's really clear, right? So this is like, boom, boom. Keep everything just as simple as possible.
I'll be back 1 minute.
Okay.
So we want to switch it to the 3x because that makes more sense. Cool. So basically anything over this $1,000 would be a loss. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So anytime we're spending more than $1,000 for this would be for next month, we're basically losing money as a team. So you can see how important it is to make sure we're doing the client work and we're actually bringing in funds. Otherwise, there's just no funds to pay anybody. So I think we're looking pretty good here. Shall we move on to the rest of our desired outcomes? So let's see here. Where are the desired outcomes? So I would say this would be especially, I'm going to add the management methods. So I would put that as one possible, and like oh, here we go, manager report. So we did this, done. policies and protocols. So this would be management method, positions. I don't know if there's any particular positions we need to go over today. I mean, if anything, we should just go over like co-chairs position, since that's the only like primary position we've got going on. What else? Session support. And this is all internal stuff here. And then I don't know if we did our team goals. So this would be our group team goals. We did as well. To get to that. You guys think of any other? I guess the only other thing would be.
Oh, can we go reviewing the Earth?
What?
Last time you said, is it Earth preparation?
Earth prep session support.
Yeah, I think I remember there was a time you said that we need to come up as a team during the meeting to see all together.
Say again. To do what?
She requests if you can go through Earth prep. Earth session prep.
What session prep? For your moon?
Earth. The Earth.
Oh, the Earth session. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we should go through the Mercury prep.
Yeah.
Mercury session. So session support would be Mercury session. And Earth session. All right, how does that look? Does that look like a good plan for our desired outcomes and focus for the meeting?
Yeah.
All right. Any objections to our priority focus and desired outcomes?
Can we review our budget report, or we can do that tomorrow?
What's our budget report?
On plasma.
Well, do you want to just do that now? Do that first for like 5 minutes. Shouldn't take too long. That sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Are there any other topics or anything else? Let me double check mine again. Whew. I think it's fine. So shall we get started?
Yeah.
Wait, but before we get started, we always forget. So now we have our agreement on topics and desired outcomes. So then we have to do our schedule. Right, I think it's what it is. Let's see. So evaluate prioritization, desired outcomes, topic review, management reports doc. What's this? Second management report. What's this? Monday, 23rd.
That one was
so
for
this is
the previous one. We have this one for this one. I just created one today.
I did.
You
do
mean
the
every
management
day you
report
need to
last
have a
time.
different doc for report? I think you need to just to have a one doc. If
That
it
is for the
must-
previous one.
So every session we have to create a new doc.
Well, we
That
just
is what it is there. Because there is the first one, the second one.
we just did the
Let's add
report. We just did the report on the meeting notes. All right. Oh man. All right. So I think we're fine. So let's go ahead and move on to the next component, which is the schedule. So it would be good to wrap up maybe by like 6 a.m. or is it 6 o'clock? Does that sound good? In like an hour?
Yeah.
Cool. Possibly we could just do even a little earlier, like 5:45. And then we also have the quarter moon session
Yeah.
at 12. So we're going to want to send out some reminders.
Okay.
And then I would actually do more than send out reminders. I think we need to go beyond that and actually start doing like RSVPs.
Mhm.
You know, so we know who is scheduled. And then we need to start creating create a global session RSVP schedule, worker schedule. Okay.
So this one will be for all the global sessions, quarter moon, full moon, new moon.
Yeah.
ETC. Okay.
Because they're irregular, so we need to have each session scheduled with like who's planning on attending and who's can't make it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What is supposed to be included there?
Where? Included where?
On a global session, RSVP.
You just like list the date of the session and in the list of RSVPs. Right? I just want to know who's showing up for the session.
It just they need to vote, right?
It has nothing to do with voting.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do with
We list the names of the people who need to. We are planning to join the meeting.
Yes, exactly.
They will just indicate, they will indicate whether they are willing to attend or not. Then we will know.
And I think there's also maybe a separate list of who is invited to the session. Right. So basically, we want a list of who's invited, and then whether they are coming. Right. So you want to invite everybody who's supposed to come to the session, and then find out who can come, so we know who's planning on being there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
We are at the top of the first hour. Can we have 1 minute break then?
Yeah.
We start.
But just really quick, I was just going to say for the Mercury session, we need to put our list together of all the people who would be invited to the Mercury session. So we'll get there. All right, let's take a couple minutes break.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Cool.
Okay. I'm back.
Cool.
I'm back also. Back.
Cool. So just really quickly, one idea I was having for the various sessions would be, let's put this as a next step. It'd be like limit like work time if workers don't show up at main weekly sessions, and then limit work time if workers don't show up at management.
That is still a part of global planetary session support.
What?
Is this still a part of session support?
No, I don't think we got started. We're going to do plasma budget report first.
Okay.
We were just looking at our schedule. So this is just for the quarter moon. We want to send out reminders. Is someone going to do that? Or you could just ask Zilu to do it. He'll probably do it. All right. So I was just saying that maybe we could create some policy that, like, for example, if you do not have clear responsibilities, you must show up at main weekly sessions or something like that. But I don't know. I'm still mixed. I'm mixed feelings about it.
We really have a problem because since we have a budget crisis, people take also that as an advantage. Even though I know, yes, we don't have budget. At least you need, when you show up, do something meaningful.
Yeah, people are reluctant. They don't want to come and work. They just don't show up.
But they're still getting paid to a certain extent, right? Are they still getting paid? I mean, if people don't want to work, it's fine as long as they don't get paid, right?
It's fine, but why if they were willing, if they are willing not to work, why just that coming up clearly say, I'm not gonna be on budget for this month. I will join you next month. That is good. Yeah. Like we struggle to put these people to vote, to do all this voting, like no one is showing, like we vote for Mazi, we vote for Asif, nothing is just like to consider them on the budget, still nothing.
Yeah, I mean, Mazi and Asif aren't doing anything at all. So, I mean, I would say we probably might cut them out of the budget, and other people as well. So, it is what it is. And we definitely need to do more recruitment and recruit new people. Okay, so let's move on to the plasma. The plasma budget was the first topic, okay?
Yeah.
All right, plasma finance report.
Wait, I'm doing it. My machine is slow, still opening, very, very slow. It cannot open it now. Ah, yeah. It's opening.
Two minutes over the topic.
It's still even not opening. My machine is very slow.
Well, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? I have it open. So, I mean, I've seen this budget report before. So I'm a little confused on what's the update?
Yeah, the update is just that, like May, June, we are really going bad on budget. So this is how our budget is. How can we now improve on that?
Okay, well, that's definitely not, I don't know if that has anything to do with plasma. So the purpose of plasma is to create and make reports to the membership, shareholders, and board about what is going on in the organization. Right? So does that,
yes.
So I like this budget report, but this is a previously existing report, just needs updating, right? So my main concern in The invoice tabulation is that we're spending $500 on plasma last month, you know, and basically we have one additional line of information that's extremely concerning, right? So basically we're saying for $500 we have a line of, and it's not even completed, it doesn't even have the budget. So it's like, that doesn't seem like anything got done.
Yeah.
So I'm confused. If we want to have a discussion about the budget and bring in income, we can have a discussion about budget, but it has nothing to do with plasma.
May, June, we cannot put what we spend because we are not yet even, we don't have anything that we spend. We only have what we budgeted for. This is $527.
Okay, so
yeah,
that's
we
fine.
cannot
So let's
put what
just
we
like
spend.
review.
We are not yet spending. When you see April, May, June, we have 500 what we spend. 5,000. I mean 5,112.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do a review of what
bonus.
types of reports you'd want for plasma.
2 more minutes on the topic.
So let's review what types of reports you want for plasma. So we basically have like a budget overview graph, right, and table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just needs updating every month.
Mm.
We could use a finance report, and you could see the EXA finance report as an example.
Okay.
Do you want me to link the finance report for EXA?
You can link. I don't see that.
Yeah, you can.
You want me to link it? Okay. Can you guys think of other reports that we might want to do?
We have system and processing report.
Okay, so what's a system and process report?
We capture all the details for organization.
What would be the first thing that you would need for a system and process report?
Policies.
So you want to do a policy verification spreadsheet, right? Which we currently do not have. What else would we want?
Planetary session, planetary information session.
So maybe you could do attendance and invitations to sessions. Right? So the report would be on who shows up and whether people were invited and whether or not the sessions were planned correctly. Were sessions planned and run correctly? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, what else? But anyway, that's a different one. There's another one on systems and processes would be a systems verification spreadsheet.
We have also. Okay.
Currently do not have, and then we'd also want to do a process verification spreadsheet. Currently do not have. So it's like, how do you do a report on systems and processes if you don't verify all the systems, processes, and policies? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not possible to report on something that we are not verifying. But that would be a good report. So what else? Any other reports you can think of?
Presentation. We need to have a presentation.
What's a presentation?
We need to create presentation, all the meetings that, like on a system and processing, we have a very important thing that we can put in a presentation where it's going to look well and easier to capture everything on a presentation when you can present. It is in a slide form, in like a PowerPoint form.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. You could do that, but that's still, that's just you do at the very end, right? So you wanna make like, so you wanna compile. That's called that'll be a separate responsibility to compile the all the reports together into a single. Usually we call it like a booklet or something, right? And then the other responsibility would be to create a slideshow presentation, right? So this is optional. This is not a priority, but this would be good. Like, all the links in one location, etc. So, I think getting it all on one doc could be good. Creating the slideshow, I don't know if it's necessary, but again, the first thing is all these. These are all responsibilities, right? Each one. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to focus on. You don't want to focus on these until it's like actually time to do the presentation, right? So what would you want to compile reports for? What sessions?
Like Mars.
Mars, yeah. What else? Earth.
Earth. Venus.
Venus,
Saturn.
not as important.
Okay, Saturn.
Well, yes, of course, Saturn, but that's happened only every very few times.
Yeah, 14 years. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it takes long.
Anyways, Mars and Earth are the most important ones, so it's good.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So with at Venus, you would be reviewing the plasma plan for presenting to Mars and Earth. Cool. So this looks all good, and then let's make sure that all this gets indexed into plasma. And this all is pretty much responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoops. We actually have a spot for that. Okay, so any other questions on plasma before we move on? So one thing I want to note here is that I see people saying they're doing a lot of work on plasma, but there's nothing coming out of it. So it's that we can't do that. And then secondly, people were talking about something related to decision-making reports. So, I mean, I don't know if decision-making reports are really applicable to plasma. But decision-making reports are applicable to Venus. And it would be a separate thing, so just decisions, docs. All right, so can we move on? Any other questions?
Yeah.
All right, so what's next? Next is policies and protocols management methods. Let me just go get a drink of water real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so management methods. I don't know if we need to spend so long. Maybe we just do like 10 to 15 minutes here or less. So the main goals of the management methods would be to, we need to hold the global core team accountable to the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of the problems that we have with the global core team, all problems are the responsibility of the management, right? Which for now is us, right? So 3 of us. So we are responsible for figuring out the policies, right? Create policies and protocols that ensure, you know, worker coordination and engagement, right?
Okay.
So I would say the top priorities obviously would be create a spreadsheet for responsibilities that have soft stops and hard stops. So obviously the very, very most important responsibilities that need to get done are related to soft stops and hard stops.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important to create that list, and we just want to prioritize like all the most important. And then if we're getting those done, then everything else should flow from that. But let's just review the review of overall management methods. So the number one, basically, what we call it concept is it's basically like, you know, listing, you know, each responsibility and understanding where it is now. Let's just say understanding the following. Where it is now, what are the next steps? You know, what are the options for moving forward? And, you know, prioritizing the options and then planning and then action.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you prioritize the options and choose one. Planning for implementation, and action, and verification. I guess you could say verification happens afterwards. So basically, the bottom line is you always want to know where everything is now. What are the options for moving forward? Prioritizing the options and choosing it. Planning for the implementation of what you decide to do. And taking action and verifying it afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So for every single responsibility, we basically want to know very quickly just kind of where it's at. So let's give an example for this one right here, okay? So the responsibility here would be, you know, update and coordinate highest priority responsibilities with soft/hard stops. Right? That makes sense?
Yeah.
So this would be a responsibility. And let's go ahead and add that. And this is also a task. So we can add this responsibility and task to our priorities up here. So as an example, example would be this responsibility. Where are we now with this responsibility? Where are we now? The answer would be like, we haven't really started, but we have at least, 5 responsibilities that include soft/hard stops. And we will want to compile them all together. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
The options for moving forward would be to assign someone to take on the responsibility and create the spreadsheet, do a review and full accounting of all future possible responsibilities that we will add as soft stops, hard stops. You guys think of other options for moving forward? Okay, so that's good enough. So prioritizing the options and choosing one. So obviously we have to do this one first, right? So prioritize, then we want to do this first. Did you see how this comes before this one? This one might take a while and maybe is like happens in the future.
Yeah.
Then you want to have a plan. So what would the plan be? So the plan would actually be like, who's doing it, right? So who would be doing it? Should we assign someone to do it? Remember, like the more you guys take on all the work, the worse. I noticed that someone put 87 hours of work for last week, which is just not acceptable. I mean, someone's working way too much. I don't know who that was. But if it wasn't one of the two of you, then that would be even more concerning. Because I don't know anyone else who's even putting in anywhere close to that time. But the point is that we can just assign someone else to do it. You don't have to do anything yourself. You understand?
Yeah.
And I would actually say that, that this responsibility would also potentially relate to hard stops and soft stops, right? Assign this responsibility as a soft/hard stop. So then you need to add deadlines. So every responsibility with a soft/hard stop needs a deadline, right? So what would the plan be? We need to assign this to a worker. Who are we going to assign it to? Does someone want to do this?
We just assign anyone who is not even present.
Sure,
Yeah.
or a couple people. We just need to find someone to do the work.
It's very hard. Maybe we can try to
Well,
assign
we'll just
to
do
Joseph.
Lucy and Albina, but if you guys just assign yourself to everything, then that doesn't help at all. You know what I mean?
I know it doesn't help. Like Abdul is not that much present. Even though he assigned, maybe he cannot do. Let's try to assign the Abdul and Joseph.
Okay.
And we'll inform them.
Okay, good. And again, it's like, Rachel's perfectly capable of doing this. Mahiti's perfectly capable of doing this. Like most of the people are perfectly capable of doing
Mahiti
it.
is not present because I think he's still on burial of his dad.
He's still on what?
He lost
He lost
the
his
father.
father.
Oh, his father passed away?
Yeah.
All right, well, it does happen. Hopefully he'll be okay, and but yeah, I mean, everyone needs their time to take.
You
take
can
off.
add also Rachel there. Abdul.
Yeah,
Is it
Rachel.
Rachel? Jessica.
Yeah,
No,
Rachel,
Rachel.
Jessica, they're all definitely capable of doing it. So, anyways, but you do need to sit down with them and tell them what they're supposed to do. All right. Anyway, so that's
Yes.
a plan. And then the last thing would be the action done by who it is assigned to, and then the verification happens later. Okay. So this is and then we need to assign a maybe do this by the full moon. Right, would be the deadline. And maybe maybe the first quarter moon would be a soft stop, and this would be hard stop. So, but then that's why we have to verify it. So we have to verify that it's happening and that everything's getting accomplished. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So also, you would want to add this priority. This responsibility needs to be added to the hard stops and soft stops responsibility.
Can we add it on our mandatory priorities? I think we have that already.
It's part of
no, it is already there, but it's supposed to be on the spreadsheet, soft and hard stuff spreadsheet.
We have that spreadsheet.
We need to create.
Oh, they will create those who we assign the brain?
No, we need to create us. We need to create. Then we assign them to do the responsibility.
Okay.
Cool, but just to back up a little bit, because I think we're getting a little bit. Remember, this is just an example, right?
Yeah.
The most important thing to understand here is that it doesn't matter what the topic is. So this topic happens to be the responsibility, but it could be a project. It could be a person. It could be a session or an event or anything. You just stick it in. Where are we now? What has gotten done? What is not? What are the options for moving forward? How we prioritize those options, choose the most important one, focus on it, make a plan, who's going to do it, when is it going to get done by, and then get the action moving forward, and then verify it later, all right? So
yeah,
the bottom line here is that the method itself is applicable to any and all responsibilities, applicable to any and all other priorities, and you just plug and drop. So once you learn and understand the importance of, where is everything now? Where is it now? Options for moving forward, prioritize, choose one, plan, action, right? It can happen very quickly. It'll be boom, 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 boom. But this is basically our methodology for management. And the key other component here, and this would be number 2, right? Number 2 key component is to track all responsibilities, projects, umbrella tasks to a small degree to see what is and is not getting accomplished, right? So somehow, some way, and we need eventually to have managers who are focused exclusively on component 2, right? So what this means is that in 1 to 2 hours to review, a dozens, let's say like 30 to 50 responsibilities or priorities. So does this make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of who would be doing this, the higher ranking, in other words, lower pay rates, should be encouraged to take on management roles more. So it's just basically, it's a lot of work to do management. And so it gets very expensive when you hire people who, like if you're making $20 an hour and you're doing management, because remember, managers don't do any work, right?
Yeah.
So eventually we're going to want people who only do management and literally like they don't do any work, right? And they help make sure all the workers like, and I'm not a good manager because I do lots and lots of work, right? So we need to manage each other, right? And so this includes like just checking in with workers and reminding them to do the work or what is the next step, right? So the question again, it's the same. Where are we now? What's going on, right? What is going on? What are the options for moving forward and the next steps? Okay, and then what is the priority? You know, the number one priority next step to move it forward, right? So this is all that matters is the number one priority, but you don't know what the number one priority without reviewing where we are now, options for moving forward, and then prioritizing it. So this is what the managers do. So you can have a manager, right? This would be like an overall manager, overall management managers, right? Where they're just helping oversee all of our project responsibilities, priorities, and umbrella tasks, right? And on a small level. So they need to know very little. All they need to know is who. All you need to know is who. And, you know, the date, due, or when, or how often to check in, right? And then just follow the method. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So hopefully maybe we could, you know, possible options to get more involved in management would be like Rachel, Zilu, Asif Razu,
Jessica.
Jessica,
Joseph.
Joseph. I don't know, maybe. I mean, if getting him to do anything would be good. But I would say the only other component here would be I think the other person would be
What about Steve?
I don't know, maybe
Rachel or Rachel's.
yeah. Anyways, Rachel and Jessica for me would be the ideal. I think that would be good. And Asif Razu would be good as well. We can get them back involved. Cool. So I think that's pretty good. Zilu is going to be harder because Zilu does a lot of work. I don't think he's going to be as good. So, but people who aren't doing a lot of work could potentially be good to get involved in the management of the work. And anyone should be able to be a manager, right? And the less work you're doing, it's like the more money you're making, the more you need to be doing work, right? So like someone wants to make 20 bucks an hour, it's like you can't manage, you need to be working, right? Because we don't have we can't pay somebody that much to not work, right? So if you're the less money you're making, the easier it is to have them be a manager because we can budget that. So let's try to get some of these people to help out with the management so that it can take some of that off our shoes. Because the more people are self-managing, you know, the goals here are like self-management. Goals for effective teamwork. You want self-management and shared management, right? And so right now there's just like too much, you know, reduce management burdens on J and to some degree on C and RB, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you see here is that one of the biggest problems that's happening right now is that overall management with J is just it's just like hundreds of responsibilities that only J knows about. So that's a problem. Some of this is related to executive team, right? An executive Jello team. But there's a lot of it that's just basic management, like session support management for our clients, management. They're just like basic management systems that need to be passed on so that they're not just my information, okay?
Yeah.
And it needs to be done in large quantities. Like we need people to be able to do 30 to 50 in just a few hours. So we go through them very, very quickly. Okay, so anyways, hopefully we can get that done. The other side of the picture is simply prioritizing. This is what we're doing here. Prioritizing the most important responsibilities. Okay, and then just focus on one at a time. So do you see the difference? So this is the opposite. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So with the management, we want to get through dozens and dozens of responsibilities really quickly, whereas at the same time, we just need to prioritize one and do it really, 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 really well, right? So if we can get our management systems and methods prioritized really, really well and just like deep dive and get our top responsibilities, then I think that's going to help us tremendously. Okay, any other questions on this?
No, for me, I'm okay.
Understood.
Cool. All right, so let's go on session support. So we're going to start with the Mercury session. Now, we're at time right now. Let's just go through all of these really quickly here.
Oh, sorry.
You forget your work now.
So with the Mercury session, we want to create a list of all people who can attend. Then we want to have our list of who is our SVP and planning on coming. And then there's actually, so this would be a list of people interested who can attend / interested in being part of the Mercury sessions. And then there's also another list. It's a list of people who can be invited to join, but is optional. Okay, so there's technically 3 sets of lists. The first one is everyone who could be invited. So this would be all global workers and all program managers. Right, and this would be internal FQN, and this would be internal and external network. So, for example, for this would include Spark program managers,
Digital storytellers,
managers, etc., etc.
So I have a question now, Jay.
Okay, but let me say one more thing. Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
So before you actually invite them to the session, you invite them to the management team. So this is just like invitation to management team, right? This would be invitation to the actual next session. And this would be expectation for who shows up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is a very different type of invitation. This is like your initial invitation. If they don't accept, we don't invite them to the next session. Okay? Cool. And this is very similar to all of the sessions. Are there any other questions about the next Mercury session? Oh, actually, there's one other key thing for all the sessions as well. Is whoever is RSVP'd and coming, right? We add them to the Google event calendar so they get automatic reminders. Okay? Very important. Hold it.
3 minutes on the topic.
Okay. Any other questions on the Mercury session?
Just a general question. With how to get the contact, especially for like digital storyteller.
The external.
Every group needs an email list and or a Google group. So one is you get on the email list so that everybody's already there. Does that make sense? Who needs to be invited? And then this is also an invitation email list. Can create an email list if there are lots of people involved. But mainly to be like for Mars, etc.
We just have an email list for only internal members, not for external.
So we need their emails so that we add them to the Google group.
Well, we need to create the Google groups and actually have everything ready. Some of them are already made, you know. So basically, we need to do a communications buddy team and just review all the existing Google groups and what needs to be created and set up, and then we can easily add the emails of each person, right? So that's not going to be a problem. And then additionally, we want to draft. We can draft invitation emails and messages. Okay. And also this would be, you know, drafting reminders. Drafting and sending out reminders. So it's very important to remind everybody. So typically for a Mercury session, we want to remind, you know, 1 week before. Maybe like 3 days before, 1 day before, and maybe 1 hour before. That make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So let's make sure we do the Google groups and set up. But the first thing is just the list of names, right? So just do
list
just
of
a list of names.
emails.
No, we just need a list of names. Yeah, just a list of names so we know who. You know, just want to know who. You know, the reason why this is really important is that the list of names would be, you know, it can be public because it's not like a personal identifiable information.
Yeah.
Whereas as soon as you put emails on it, then it has to be a private manager list and it gets complicated. But I could try to find the list, at least with all the names. But I would have preferred to just do it later and move on right now. So I mean, it's just I'll have to get it, you guys, the spreadsheets to just remind, keep reminding Jay and ask for the spreadsheet. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
3 minutes on that one.
Okay. So can we move on to Earth session?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
Earth session is basically exactly the same,
Yeah.
right?
There is no difference.
Yes, listen.
Well, no, there is difference because you have different, different people.
Oh, that one is for the board.
Yeah, the board. Okay, so list of people who can come and be joined. So this is going to be like the list of existing FQN worker board members. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure we review the board members list from the Mars session, and then we want to make sure they're all invited and RSVP, right? And these would, and from here, you're going to get RSVPs from the necessary number of board members. Okay. From here, you're going to be all internal FQN boards and councils, and then all external FQN boards and councils. Okay. There's another session that's also should be considered is the seasonal session. I'm not sure, we need to remember to add this to the budget income.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any questions on the Earth session?
No.
Cool. And just so you guys understand, this particular doc is this spreadsheet has the list of all the people for the Earth session as well. And we're going to be making all of the Google groups and everything as well for the Earth session. So for quarter moon and new moon, this is the most important. So we need to get our worker Google groups updated and start using them for all sessions. So there's going to be a quarter moon Google group, going to be a global core team Google group. Okay, and this is for the steering team, for the global core team.
8 minutes.
And then for the same thing, we need to do the RSVP schedule, worker schedule, right? So let's make sure that these happen. So we're going to be, are there any other, what's other next step for the quarter moon? Like for the quarter moon, I think the number one priority is the budget, right?
Yeah, the budget.
The budget. So make sure you send out reminders to everybody so that they know about the quarter moon session happening in just a few hours from now. It's like, what, 6 hours from now? Can you guys think of any other proposals? Some review proposals. Another thing we wanted to add to our session meeting notes here is proposals. All right, I think that's it on my side. So I think we're ready to check out. Unless we want to do some wrap up. You guys ready to check out?
Yeah, sure. All our topics. Okay, can check out then.
What is remaining? Let's check.
I think we covered everything. Oh wait, we could do our priorities for the next month and a half. I think we know what our priorities are. We kind of went over them. And we didn't really vote.
I think we have already mandatory priorities.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if people can turn up maybe during the meeting so that they can hear from you, they need to focus on mandatory priorities and they have to submit their schedule so that we know when they are working. That will be good.
Cool. So other next steps, we need to ensure that all workers attend some main sessions to
like now, for example, you assign someone to do a responsibility, then that person disappears, no communication. You now start from scratch, you assign another person, or you step in to do it now, that is also a challenge.
The other thing that we need to do is we need to do the weekly check-in report. Like what's up with that report? Do we have that link?
The spreadsheet we did for verification?
Yeah.
Or we create the one for the report?
Yeah, for the report, the weekly check-in.
We create the report for the weekly check-in?
Yeah. So can we link that and take a look at that real quick?
That's my big problem. When we have a budget, we are all there, all of us. But when you go to work, you see few people working. Even those who have approved on the budget, they are not even present.
So we need to know who is on stop for now, right? So this is going to be for the quarter moon. So this actually we don't have to do this. This is all for the quarter moon. So when we go to the quarter moon, we need to do the budget, but we also need to review the weekly check-in report and who's on soft stop. Okay. So if you guys could get that all ready for the quarter moon, or make sure someone does that, that would be good because it's due.
That's what, Jeff?
The weekly check-in report is due at the quarter moon.
Okay.
From the previous week, right?
Not this week.
Well, this week everybody has to do the actual. So this would be for this week. This week, who did the form, right?
Mm. Is it the spreadsheet for form completion? Eh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, also, Jay, like invoice tabulation, we did it, and we need another person again to go and verify. Who else now? No one.
Invoice tabulation.
Because we cannot do it again according to the option that we have been given.
Invoice tabulation does not need to be verified.
Okay.
Only the invoices for the two teams get verified. So we have one invoice for the Cobalt, one invoice for Dynamic, and then they're each verified by the other team. Okay?
Okay. So who is from all world or from New World can verify for only all world?
Anybody.
Because we don't have really, because the person who is really active is Mehedi.
Now he's not present.
Maybe Jessica can do that and Rachel Bina, because that's
okay. But we can.
That side.
Let's go over that during the quarter moon. Okay. For whoever shows up. And since you guys put this here, I can show you guys really quick. Oh, I know this is just the verification spreadsheet. So again, I want to simplify everything, right? Like delete, delete, delete. Here, I'll duplicate just so you can. Wait, is this already? It's already duplicated. See, I duplicated it already. So it's just like delete all this stuff. We don't need it, right? So wait, we have check-ins for this week. Is this what that says? What's going on here? So I just put that here. Delete. All of this is just nonsense. Delete. That's all you need right there.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we add freeze the first two columns. And then you're adding a column to the left. And you start with the nose. Boom. And then this would be week 4.
Week 3.
Week 3.
4th, 3rd. It's east, right? So it's just like, did people fill it out or not? You know, just verify whether they filled it out or not. If they didn't fill it out, boom, they're automatically on soft stop. Soft stop starts. And then it's going. And one good definition of soft stop that I'm considering and pushing, right, is that basically soft stop equals, you know, cutting budgeted hours in half. And that gives people a good concept of what that would mean and do to their work schedule. So where is the report from last week? Can we link that? Oh, here we go. This is it right here.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, great. Okay, so the most important thing here is the team. This is like really a lot and really confusing still. But what are you gonna do? So let's add a new column here and say half world. So J would be Rico. So Rico / not applicable. Zulu is for now going to be old world, right?
Yeah.
Old world. Mel is new world. Melinda is new world. The moon is new world. Teresa, I think Teresa is new world, right? Abdul's new world.
Yeah.
Hello.
That's a big bag. Kainat, I don't know which wall is a Kainat is.
I mean, I think Kainat's not really involved anymore, is she?
No.
I'm just gonna delete her. She's not even on payroll. And Peter and Julia, they're volunteers, so you don't really need to worry about them.
Are we supposed to include them or can just do away?
I guess it doesn't really matter that much.
Okay.
Okay.
Steve, can you Albino?
Who?
Yeah, you just put it.
Yeah.
And how many people are from all world? New world.
Old world are very few. New world are very many. Yeah, like that, Jay. Thank you.
Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is, I believe it's average, but we'll see. So the new world average for client work is 3%. Does that make sense? So this is the new world average. So 3% client work, percentage actual client work. See, this is just totally unnecessary. You don't need any actual. If they did it incorrectly, then you change it, right? Like, did Mahidi really do 30% client work? I don't think he did any client work.
Nothing. Also, we need just to change
So
from
you just
there,
change
right?
it. You just change it to 0.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we
Thank
change
you.
it on actual, so there is no need of actual. Perfect.
And then
Yeah, we need to
and then
do
make
this
a note of that you changed it. You know, just note why you changed it and what, you know, because it's a verification process. Like if they put the wrong information, but again,
Exactly.
the information itself helps us tremendously. So then the next question is, this is internal operations work. All right. So then we do internal operations. We have 24%. Internal operations, right? So that would be, we'll give it an orange. That's pretty good. Reasonable, right? So then the last part would be, here's total overall time. But the main thing was, it doesn't look like we have assigned work. Are we missing assigned work? Anyways, the way that I would set this up, let me show you guys how I would set this up. I would just do it like, you know, name, half world, then you have percentage client, percentage, what is it? It's
internal business operations.
Yeah, internal ops.
Then assigned.
Then total assigned task.
Overall assigned.
And then you could have a little thing here, maybe do some calcs. Or no, this would be hours, right? I think, and like in pay, right? Money, hours. That's all you need right there. But so that would be my recommendation. But either way, it's fine to have this more detailed information. But I mean, at some point, you can just click on the actual data and see all the information as needed. Like if you have questions about what something is, then you go to the data.
I think what is missing there is
for me would be
like
0. Like I don't think Mel did any work at all, which I have a major problem with. What are you gonna do? All right, so this is 3, 7. Excellent. Cool. All right, so I don't know why all these are yellow, but that's okay. They could be.
That is yellow because
they fill the wrong thing, so
they fill the percentage that we get when we verify is not the right one.
Okay, so yeah, so you're gonna want to correct those and mark them and make a note. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I just put the other side.
That's why we put it the right thing on actual. If you go other side, you can see exactly for that person where we put yellow. You see the actual percentage for that.
Yeah.
So it is good that you simplify. It's gonna be easier for us. We just change directly.
The other side, then we change. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So then here we've got 14% client work and 48% internal ops. So as far as the 48% internal ops, this would be good. But this right here, this is bad.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
So 14% is a problem. So in my eyes, what you would look at that was we know, right? So insert. So for example, here with the New World team, I would say that we put do like a full soft stop. Right, so this would be full soft stop, which would be cut time in half. All right, that would be my proposal. And then this one, you would take 33%.
Elvira, can you send me that spreadsheet?
And then you would do.
Oh yeah, let me send.
So it would be 14% divided by 33% is 43. And then so this would be give a couple other lines here. So then that would be 40% would be that. So 100. would be equal to 1 minus that 57%.
Yes. I remove the color.
Just changing.
Yes, there or something. You just put the right one.
Yeah, we need to delete the other parts. Just change.
But before we delete it, help us for a while.
I know, yeah, it did. Just say 37. 7.
Yeah, I think it's okay now. We have a step 63.
So basically what you would see the difference between the old world and the new world team is that the new world team would be on full soft stop and their time would be cut in half. Whereas the old world team, they would be on just quarter hot soft stop and their time would just be cut by a quarter.
77.
Right? So this would be cut 1, cut like 2 work sessions. And this would be cut 1 work session.
Zero.
So do you guys understand where I'm going with this? So the idea is that the entire team would be on.
Yeah, you can see I update now internal client work.
Okay.
Internal operative business for everyone.
Okay.
There we have 19, and for all world coming to 44%.
That's fine. Yeah. So here I would just 44% is green, right? So that's good.
Okay.
Now we delete this part.
Yeah. The only problem is that this is only 14%. That's the big problem. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, we want to get this number up, and then we want this number to actually can go down. So it's perfectly fine for this number because they're both can be 33%. We want 33% client work and 33% internal ops. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the goal per team. Obviously, it's never going to be like exact, but it's all estimation anyways. So the idea of the soft stop would be to cut the number of hours, because if people have less hours, hopefully they can focus more on the client work.
Sure.
Anyways, so I think we're good. And then if people still don't do
I just want to know, cutting one session how?
I'm saying that if people have 4 sessions per week, they would cut 1 session out of their schedule. Does that make sense? Out of their schedule, right?
Then there's these ones need everyone to have their schedule so that we know how many sessions they have.
Yeah, if they don't have their schedule, they're automatically on basically hard stop, right? No schedule equals hard stop. Right?
Yeah. Even up to there also no schedule.
Usually we give them you give 24-hour soft stop notice first. Okay.
Yeah.
But if they don't have a schedule, they can't work. You can't work without a schedule.
Okay.
And just so you guys know, I'm proposing that we might cut Melinda and Mel from the budget because they're just, they're extremely expensive. They're by far the most expensive. We're paying almost $1,500 for them this month, and they just aren't really producing a lot of work. I prefer to keep Melinda, so if Melinda can find a new buddy, that would be good. So anyways, we'll see what happens. We're going to be talking about a cobalt, which is also today. The cobalt session is today as well. All right, so can we check out now? I'm really tired. Want to get some sleep before the session.
We have a lot. You can check out now.
All right, so I'll check out first.
7.
Oh yeah, I give this session a 7 as well.
Mhm.
And I would say that we got a lot accomplished. There's still a lot to be done, but one step at a time, and you can't do it all at once. So we're moving everything forward, and hopefully it will improve. I'll be working on the quarter moon session. I'll be doing the cobalt session. I'll be working on the payroll and the debit cards, and also all the Z collaborator work. And I'm also working on VZ Exa Mesh, and the Exa token allocation is my paid work from my paid client. So I have a lot up there too. All right, check.
Oh, Jay, are we going to inform them now, or up to quarter moon, so that we send the text those who are on?
Well, this
hard stop and soft stop and hard
just
stop,
we can just do it all together. But technically, this should be done by the 8th moon, right? So typically, everything's the reason that we're not done with this is because we were just behind schedule, but. Typically, this would be done by the 8th moon, so you would announce at the 8th moon what teams are on full stop and soft stop and everything. But in terms of the quarter moon, we'd announce it at the quarter moon or right after. Okay.
Okay.
Because people have until the quarter moon to fill it out, or you're actually supposed to fill it out at the quarter moon, right? And then afterwards. It's the 8th moon, so it'll be, everyone will have another couple days on soft stop before they have to worry about being on hard stop.
Yeah, and I think we will do for week 3, Lucy. This is for week 2.
Yeah, for week 2. This is week 2, Calibas, because Jay at least clarify on how to do that. That's good.
Yeah. But the most important thing to understand is that the only way to get people doing client work and internal ops and balancing everything is that they need to understand that it's a team effort, right? The whole team needs to balance the work between the internal ops and the client's work, and it's perfectly fine if some people are only doing internal ops work and other people are only doing client work, but it needs to balance out,
Yeah, now I understand. If it is in wall, we say these other people focus on client and other team focus on operation. We still make it.
Yeah, and with the whole new form and everything, it should be pretty simple. It should only take it should be way easier than what we had for the midweek check-in, which was way too much. Okay, so I'm gonna get going here. Did you guys want to check out at all, or are we done, or what?
Yeah, we are done. We have a lot to focus on.
Okay, good work.
Later, let's just take a break because after 1 hour and 40 minutes, we want to come and work on assigned priorities.
Yeah. For sure. Awesome. Okay. I'll talk to you guys all later. Thank you so much. And remember to really sit down with the other workers and train them on how to do some of this work. And remember, it can take weeks and months and to work with people, but you can't don't try to stress and do it all yourself. Take the time to train other people too. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye.